Good day, and welcome to another episode of Jimmy Jaunt. So this morning we met for coffee at our local Kangaroo. It was a nice sunny day, a little bit of wind, probably about 48 degrees. Almost perfect weather. Could be a little bit warmer and maybe no more wind. But it was beautiful weather for a motorcycle ride. Our destination today was going to be Crackers Restaurant, Bar and Grill. It's over on Crystal River, Florida, over on the Gulf Coast. So we started heading out probably about 9:30 or so. Had 6 people, including myself. Nice, reasonable sized group. I don't like getting groups larger than 8. Once you hit 8 or 10 people, it gets a little more complicated for the leader, and everybody has to watch to make sure people don't get left behind at lights. It was a beautiful day, nice day to get out. Now here's a little embarrassing point. I actually stalled the bike here, as you'll notice. But got it restarted and caught up with the group. Maybe got about half a mile down the road further here, and my oil indicator came on. Now I ride a Yamaha Super Tenere, and it has a oil level indicator, not an oil pressure indicator. It's a separated oil system. There's a dry sump, or a sump that picks up the oil from a shallow pan instead of submersing the crank in the oil. So I went ahead and pulled off at the gas station and had to add like only 1/8 of a quart to bring the glass sight to the half level point, so everything was kosher at that point. So got that fixed and continued on our route for the restaurant. Now we came across this area, which is known as Thrill Hill. It's one of the larger hills in Florida, not that we have many. And I was following Kristen, and she points out a pothole right there, and guess what I do? I go right for it. I guess it really doesn't help if she points things out. I'm going to just run for it. And here's a nice little area. We've got some forests off to the left. Nice orange orchard cut into the right-hand side of the field. And this is beautiful, like springtime. Come through here and all the orange blossoms are blooming. And oh, it's amazing the smell of orange blossom. It's overpowering at times, but it smells really good. This guy, we weren't really sure what he was doing. He was crossing the road at some point, and he seemed to have been lingering in our lane. So he eventually got over to the shoulder. We went past him, and then we got up to this next intersection, and there appeared to have been an accident. It looked like somebody had probably turned into another oncoming vehicle, like maybe one of them was making a left turn and the other person was going straight, and they just collided. The minivan on the left-hand side has definite damage on the right quarter panel. So the vehicle in front of the ambulance had damage on the front end also. So I'm guessing one of them was going straight through the intersection, probably the right of way, and the other person turned into them. So we got past that incident and continued on our route. We don't have to really go very far outside of Sanford to start picking up on country, which it's nice to be able to, be 20 minutes and be in rural area where you can have some farmland, or you could have a small homestead or home and not be right next to your neighbor. Now the nice thing about Florida lakes is they always have curvy roads going around them. So Tom has done a great job on finding routes that keep us off interstates, keep us off major highways, and we'll find as many county roads as we can that usually sweep and curve around lakes or big bodies of water. Sometimes there's swamps because, you know, this is Florida. Got to expect that. And of course, Tom did an excellent job in finding the routes that have plenty of curves. So here's a couple other curves that Tom had found. And of course, more curves around more bodies of water. With the exception of a few routes that we've had where they have very sharp curves, they're mostly like this, where they're sweeping maybe 30 mile an hour, 35 mile an hour curves. And this route took us by a small airport where once in a while we'll get buzzed by a small Piper or small Cub Cadet, small light craft planes. And of course, when we get up to 55 zones, we seem to find what I enjoy more of the sweepers. Nice curves that are gentle, but yet you can go at full speed. You don't have to go to the cautionary speed. And even though the sun is still out and the cloud cover is not really there, we didn't really warm up too much. It pretty much stayed consistently right around the mid 50s, maybe low 50s for most of the morning. It was probably more around 5 o'clock at night when it finally started warming up. I like these routes where we can find the old oak trees that actually lean over and kind of touch each other in the center of the road. And here we made it to the close to the Gulf Coast, the west coast of Florida, and we're heading up to our restaurant. And no, it's not McDonald's there off on the right. We're going to actually come up here to Crackers, which is a very good fresh seafood place. Now they have clams, but they get those out of the Maine. At least I heard the waitress mention that for this time of the year. But as far as I had redfish, and it was really delicious. Prepared well, nice and flaky, fresh. It was good fish. So we went in, had our meals, continued on the road again in just a moment. Here we are heading towards Sanford after leaving the restaurant, and we came upon a semi-truck, tractor trailer, that was doing probably about 20 miles an hour in a 55 zone. And unfortunately we were on a double yellow, so we had no opportunity to pass until later. But his engine was puffing out kind of a bluish smoke, not black, not white. So I don't know as far as what was wrong with the engine. I don't know if that's a stuck injector, or it's almost like a car that had too much choke on. You get that fuel. But this was a diesel truck, so it shouldn't have been doing that. But he obviously had some issues. So we got past him, continued on, and a lot of the roads here in Florida are flat and straight. Maybe a little bit of a curve around a lake, but I'd say the majority look like this. Now on this one, I noticed that Robert in the RT behind me, he almost kind of looked like a police officer at first. I saw the crash bars and I was like, oh, and then I remembered Robert was riding with us. But I noticed the camera plays tricks on his angel eyes on the lights on each side of the main light. They kind of flicker a little bit, so the camera doesn't seem to like the frequency that his angel eyes run at. So of course no ride would be complete without a stop off at Yulaha German Bakery in Yulaha, Florida. It's one of my favorite dessert stops. Usually you get coffee, a rhubarb strawberry streusel, and sit down and chit chat and get ready for our saying goodbyes and where everybody branches off to get home. Now it was interesting, there was a gentleman that walked up behind my bike. My camera picks this up here momentarily. There he is. And he just kind of stops and I think he's trying to figure out what the bike is. But he kind of looks off to see if who at the picnic tables might belong to the bike. Then he just kind of moseys on. So it was a little curiosity. Now this light, along with many lights in Florida, the newer ones are using cameras to sense a vehicle. But this is a traditional signaling light where they use the electromagnetic pickup. So there's cables that run underneath the tar, and you can see the lines there. Penny's right on top of one, Tom's on top of one, and I'm on top of one behind Tom. They basically run a current or a small current through them, and they can sense how they react when there's a vehicle or a body of metal on top of them, something that changes the electromagnetic field. Now, unfortunately, bikes have so little metal on them that they don't always trip these systems. And you can see Tom questions that because a vehicle was allowed to go through a complete cycle of the light. We all went ahead and pulled ahead of the stop bar, and that allowed the vehicle behind us to get up onto the sensor so that at least the car would trip the system. And usually it works, and it did. So here's the bridge that crosses Lake Harris between Howey in the Hills and Tavares. On the right is Little Lake Harris, and on the left is the main portion of Lake Harris. I've gone over this lake a few times, and one of these days I'd like to be able to get out on the water, maybe fish, but at least get out on a boat and just kind of explore it a little bit. It's a nice area. It's always busy during the summer. They put in a nice, beautiful dock off on the left-hand side. It has plenty of capacity. There are a couple people that bass fish, I believe. We started to find some more curvy roads going around lakes and rivers and creeks. Started to get a little bit more cloud cover. We were expecting storms tonight about 10 o'clock. A front's moving through, so we're going to have quite a bit of rain and maybe some high winds. Now the person at this next intersection is a little upsetting. They have stop bars, the white bars that you're supposed to stop the vehicle behind. It gives plenty of clearance to be able to see the intersection, both directions or all directions. And as you'll notice, this person pulls up and then goes beyond. And then as we're waiting for traffic to clear, she keeps creeping forward. So I don't know why people have to be so impatient that they're trying to get through an intersection that they can't wait until all traffic's clear. I mean, she has to see us. We're right in front of her. Even as we're getting ready to make the turn, she pulls forward again. And you can see she's well over the stop bar. Her vehicle is completely past it. It just makes it more difficult for us to make the turns, and if there was a semi making the turn that we just did, it would be far more difficult for him by having her nose out like that and be beyond that stop bar. That's basically what the design of the stop bar being set back like that is. It allows a larger vehicle or an RV, semi, whatever, to be able to get around that corner without having to go way off onto the shoulder on the right-hand side. So here we continued on, starting to head more east. The other members had already turned off on their routes to get home. So it's now just Tom, Penny, and myself. Tom rides a Honda Goldwing. Penny has an Indian. I'm not sure which model it is yet, but it's a very nice bike, all blacked out. Not much chrome. I actually like that look. We were heading up a little bit north here to get to Sorrento, and Tom found a nice curvy road. Yeah, and I'm not sure, I was noticing that Penny's exhaust pipes get really close to the pavement, so I'm kind of curious how much clearance that bike really has. But we found our turns, the last couple sharp corners until we get into Sanford or start branching off to head home. And here comes our last turn of the day. Penny, thank you for riding with us. She's going to head home, and Tom and I will continue on towards Sanford. At this point, Tom is waving off. He's going to be heading more into Sanford, and I'm going to head north to get home. All right, thank you for watching, and have a good day.